How are you, David?
Hi there, I'm doing well, thanks. How you doing?
Hey, it's great to talk to you again. I mean, we first met right at the beginning. I think I did the first interview with you and the boys, but I'd seen you before that, and it's ever so strange, because last week I was talking to a new friend of mine, Alfie Boe, and we were talking about you and your brilliant performance, of course, in La Boheme.
Oh my gosh, that seems like forever ago. Oh, Alfie's great. I had a great time working with him. We were... he and I and another tenor were triple cast in the Boheme because singing an opera is a very difficult task, and it's not something that you can really do 8 times a week. So they triple cast us, and Alf and I got to be really good friends over the course of that. So yeah, it's really cool. I've seen him a few times actually since then. You know, our paths kind of cross like ships in the night. Like we were at the proms in the park and kind of at various other TV events. Our paths keep crossing here and there. Good guy, Alfie.
Is it amazing to you that you've come so far in a relatively short period of time? I mean, there you were slogging it out on Broadway, which, let's face it, isn't that glamorous. It's hard work. And then we look 10 years on, and you're both in your own right doing so well. I mean, you're an international megastar now. And I mean, I've seen you so many times. It's almost unbelievable, isn't it?
It absolutely is unbelievable. It's been a huge journey. I mean, it's even from the days when I was in like school and wanting to be an opera singer and kind of going through that whole starving artist phase, and 10 years of singing opera roles around the world, and so then I got the role Broadway, and that really actually prepared my psyche for using my instrument in a more communicative way, in a kind of in opera where you're taught vocal technique, and you're taught how to really project to the back wall, and you're taught all of these things to use your virtuosic instrument as best you can. But they don't really teach you a whole lot about trying to connect with an audience, and there's a whole lot of you've got your character, and you've got your costumes, and you've got your set, and you've got all of these things that kind of are barriers of protection between you and the audience, and so then to go from that to being in Divo, where there is no character, there's a set, and there are musicians on the stage, but there's no character that you're playing. It's just you. So then to kind of go, having a successful career as being an interpreter of different characters, to then having a successful career of just being myself, and then having that really just take off and become, so successful as it has. It's nothing I ever imagined or dreamt of when I was, just starting out as a kid in college.
I've seen you so many times live. I came to New York and saw you. We were both in New York at the same time when you turned the lights on Fifth Avenue, I think at Saks, and there you were singing "Oh Holy Night," and you just blew everybody away. There's a certain kismet and alchemy about your 4 voices, aren't there? I mean, they just fit together beautifully, and it seems to get better and better. That's fortuitous, because it could have been a car crash. It didn't necessarily have to work, did it?
And I think car crash is a very appropriate analogy. There were many moments along the way where it almost was a car crash. It's like you said, there is an alchemy to the voices and the way that our actual vocal timbres work together, and how we retain our individuality and yet able to blend when it all comes together. But there wasn't necessarily a whole lot of thought put towards the alchemy of our personalities.
Right.
And that's a huge impact on everything, really. And it's partly why our alchemy of our voices works really well, because we do have a very strong work ethic, and we have a very high level of artistic of artistic integrity, and we always want to give 100% at every given turn. So that's a part of our personalities that is kind of center of where we orbit. And for the rest, we try and not take too personally all of the little idiosyncrasies that we have that are differences in personalities.
Well, again, in the beginning, I remember you were dragged into my studio at Capitol Gold, I think twice, or four of you. I mean, and you were exhausted. You really had to work hard to launch it. And it wasn't as if you just had to do it in Britain. You had to do it virtually in every country around the world. There must be a point where you're just sick of talking to guys like me answering the same old questions.
Well, I'll be honest, there did come a point where we just simply did not want to answer what Simon Cowell really liked. But no, I mean, given the opportunity to, in the countries, in UK, but also the other countries around the world, being given the opportunity and having people kind of get on board and get behind us, as you have absolutely done, is part of the reason why it took off so much, that it took off so fast. It wasn't just that you had these four guys and, yeah, they sing good and, yeah, they look good in their outfits. Okay, great. But if nobody cares and nobody, actually gets it out there for us, for the people to listen to, we may as well be singing in the shower.
Yeah, exactly.
For our own amusement. I'm
just looking through my list of questions here, David. Next question. What's Simon Cowell really like? Do you know?
He's a pussycat.
Hey, listen, it was interesting because I remember talking about this right at the beginning, and I never asked you that question because I wasn't interested. It seemed to me in the beginning, I don't know how seriously people took you as a group, because we had our own version, G4, which were a disaster, really, compared to you guys. You sort of blew them away. Did you ever feel bad that you sort of outshone them and put them out of work?
We had nothing to do with that.
But there is...
that's the thing, is that, they had nice voices. But the thing about the four of us was that we had already taken our... we'd already cut our teeth, in a way, on our own careers. Each of us had 10 years, at least, in our own right of establishing ourselves as artists, as singers. And, the thing about competition shows, for as much as it gets music back on the minds of everybody and gets them really interested in music, which I think is a hallmark and cornerstone of humanity, gets people thinking about music, but at the same time, it also kind of promises something it can't deliver, which is like, yeah, you win my TV show, you get a career. And that's not really true. These people who come out of the woodworks to kind of be on this show and see if they get their shot at the limelight, that's one thing to have talent. It's another thing to spend time honing your craft. And we had already gotten to that point where our crafts were honed over years and years of study and practice and performance. And so it was already basically four polished products going into a single unit together, as opposed to, just kind of starting out. I thought they had really great voices, and I actually said to myself, I'm really curious to hear what they sound like in 10 years.
Sadly, though, they hadn't got the package, and unfortunately, you need everything, don't you, now in this game? It is a business, and when I look at these programs, just on a musical note, I'm staggered how hard it is to sing in pitch. I mean, I watched X Factor on Saturday night, and honestly, some of the voices were absolutely outrageous. When you sing live, I know you've done, for example, Oprah and Larry King and these big TV shows in America. How do you keep control of the nerves so that the performance doesn't suffer? Because that's where a lot of people fall down, isn't it? The nerves can get you and it's all over.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was difficult even for me learning how to sing with a microphone, because as an opera singer, you project to the back wall. There is a certain amount of force that's required in order to project to the back wall, and doing that day after day after day after day, year after year for 10 plus years in my case. There's a certain, it's like becoming an athlete. You reinforce with practice and practice and practice, and you reinforce all this muscle memory into your system. And then, okay, I'm part of Il Divo. Great. Here's a microphone. Well, a microphone completely highlights everything. Yeah. It highlights all of the positive qualities, but it also amplifies the smallest nuance and the slightest pitch variation. And it's intense. You know, as an opera singer, you've got vibrato is built in. You are supposed to sing with vibrato all the time. That's a built-in oscillation that's going on of pitch that it's like above, below, above, below. It's like an oscillation that goes on. So you're never actually singing directly on the pitch. But with pop music, you can't do that. And I'd never sung pop in a pop style before. So those first few months of trying to learn how to use a microphone, it was a nightmare. I was like, why can I not stay in tune? What is going on? This doesn't happen to me. And it's just something you have to get used to, and it comes with practice and time and learning how to take my vibrato voice and kind of, turn it into straight tone when it's necessary and this and that. And that's what, and it also goes back to the whole, been singing for 10 years. These people probably sing at karaoke and probably, sing in the shower and have maybe done the school musical or whatever and, had a few experiences with music, but it's not enough to have any sort of solidified technique. So then you put these kids on stage and they're going and doing the best that they can in front of the millions and millions of people. Like, forget the nerves, just the actual doing of it is so difficult. And as far as, the nerves go for us, I don't really have those anymore. Right. Like, I lost those about 5 years into my opera career, just because you get to a point where things stabilize and they level out over time.
And David, just very finally, the balance now then between you and the boys. Have you got it right between you and your family and touring and being international sex symbols and megastars and enjoying it? Because I know there was a period where you didn't have a day off in about 3 years.
Yeah, that's the trick, is trying to find that balance. And I think we do have a handle on it in a sense that we really take it on a case-by-case basis. Like, for example, myself, my wife is an opera singer as well, so she has a career that's going on. So trying to carve out time to be together is damn near impossible. And but you do it. You look down the line, you say, okay, I'm going to be here. Where are you going to be? You're going to be there? Okay, well, then let's look at this window of time. And you kind of have to sort it out case by case. For example, when we're going around like Europe and we're in a different city in a different country every day, it's quite exhausting to kind of tag along with something like that, as opposed to when we're, say, in the UK and doing performances around the UK, and it's you can get on a train and be somewhere in just a couple hours, and it's a lot less hectic. Periods like that, it's a whole lot easier for her to come over and spend some time. And as far as free time, well, it seems to be a real scarcity at the moment. I mean, we have literally, I think I've been home for maybe 10 days since January.
Wow. Well, listen, I've got a million questions to ask you and we're out of time, but David Miller, it's always nice to talk to you. He's the star of Il Divo. Sebastian, Carlos, David, Urs and Catherine Jenkins are back on the road next spring, and I've already got my tickets. Can't wait to see you in Nottingham. Let's meet up for a drink because I'm such a big fan of you guys, and we met in Nottingham the first time all those years back and nobody cared, and there was me championing your cause. I think you could put the success of Il Divo down to me solely, actually, David.
You know what? Absolutely. I think you can definitely take credit for that.
Hey, listen, I love seeing you guys. I've never heard voices like it. I've never seen such a skilled package put together and beautifully crafted. I mean, every note is there. And of course, Carlos winks at the girls and they like that. And of course, I'll sit there and enjoy the tunes, watching the ladies gush like I've never felt myself. Does that feeling ever leave you when, that being a sex symbol, does it ever get boring or tired?
For me, it's an artistic, it's a challenge, and it's also a gratification to do what I do, because obviously this is not what I was trained to do. This is not where my initial passions that led me into music was not with this style of music or this style of singing. But at the same time, it's really great to know that what we're doing has a positive impact on people. I mean, they've told us over the years that our music helps them out in tough emotional times with passing of loved ones or going through an illness themselves, that our music lifts them up and is of comfort and benefit. And that's really all an artist, I think, can ever hope for.
Well, you guys are the master of crescendo. Your songs are anthemic and your tour is brilliant. Go and see Il Divo and Catherine Jenkins next spring. Your new album's out now, which is sort of a best of, isn't it? And the Christmas album I always loved. I said to you years ago, it's brilliant. And they've released it in the UK for Christmas this year. So lots of Il Divo things for Christmas. David, always nice to talk to you. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Very nice to talk to you too. Thanks so much.